Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Losers Bracket Semifinals of the Azure Dreams Rock Me to the Top Tournament number 3. So our notes say, I don't count these things, I'm going to believe them. I'm Lady Demi, and Riven will be joining me once we have the runners counted down now and set off upon their journey. And with me now is...
Hey, Riven, you know, the classic. Runners should be going any second now. We do have a bit of a stream delay, so any moment.
Such is the nature of streams. For those of you unaware, as I always like to say at the top of these things, we've got a PlayStation 1 Mystery Dungeon style roguelike game. These runners will have 1 hour per round to clear as high as they can, as fast as they can, of the 40-floor monster tower. It is going to be punishing, it is going to be random, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. This, any percent tournament that we have here, essentially, just a little bit of chocolate in there with the quality of life stuff. It's been very entertaining to watch so far. We've had not a ton of 40 clears like in our last tournament, but I feel like that's really pushing our runners more to the extreme because they're not getting those random holy swords and everything that can kind of carry them.
Right, random dragons.
Yeah, exactly. So we're seeing a bit more of what these runners are. Exactly, yeah. It's more of a fundamental tournament and what each individual runner's kind of style, I guess you could say. Like, I know Shauny is a very technical runner. He likes to use the AI1 strats as much as possible. Wugga's a go fast kind of guy, and you know, it works out for both of them quite well. I know Wugga's gotten several sub-30 so far, the only runner to do so. And Shauny's also very consistent, so it's kind of a mashup between different playstyles.
And they immediately start off with the best weapon available for this initial setup. The Scarlet Wand.
Yeah. Any particular one they would really like to see, but in particular here, like you said, Demi, the Scarlet Wand is going to do them just fine. Actually, quite perfectly.
The most good.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
this point in time. If they switch to... So this game had all the monsters have an elemental triangle. Ko does not by nature, but can acquire elemental traits based on his equipment. And the starting monster is fire. That Scarlet Wand is going to give Ko's attack a fire element, combining the fire mixture magic from this little starting monster Q with the fire element of the wand produces like a same type attack bonus in Pokemon on top of the wand's regular bonus to mixture magic. It is the best for your initial thing, but if they change the monster's element later, as many runners these days like to do, then they might want to have a different wand for that, if they can find one.
Yeah, at some point they will, at least Shauny will probably want to be finding a stream wand at some point so he can do his water strats and have the same benefit as right now with the stream wand. But that's going to be a little ways off, and we're not even necessarily guaranteed to see water strats depending on how things go out.
Shauny's suffering a little bit with this blind trap completely blacking out the screen. Everything is question marks. And marks. That luckily has resolved. I know early traps can catch a lot of runners in a rough spot.
Yeah, especially because in the early levels here, you really don't have very much HP to play with, and you don't really have very good shields or anything like that, so your damage absorption is minimal. And and some of these enemies can hit particularly hard, like the flame with sled and cyclones in particular. If you hit a nasty trap, it can be over pretty quick. So.
Anything that hasn't killed you if you play Azure Dreams, you simply haven't found yourself in a bad enough situation with them yet.
Seeing double mirror shields here. That's pretty neat. The mirror shield will be nice for the flames and eventually the clowns and especially the griffins. Yeah.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of monsters that use magic and that the mirror shield can reflect back on them, but the ones that do, it's a nice little bonus, and it's certainly at least better than wood.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not cursed, so they're lucked out in here to figure out the situation. Shauny has taken like the tiniest bit of a lead, but at this point they are both neck and neck. Like, as we're beginning to exit the point, just on the threshold of the point where they're going to stop exploring and like go into probably some sprinting.
Yeah, exactly. The next floor they're gonna hit is gonna be predominantly water-based, so water beats fire. That even with a Scarlet Wand, which granted it will help a bit, they're really not gonna want to fight too much. Maybe the occasional Bloom or Minova, depending if it's alone or something. But it's gonna be kind of a mad dash for the elevator for the most part from here on out.
And then it's just going to get worse. And then this game sort of ebbs and flows based on what monster you have, what equipment you've collected. It can be unpredictable. It looks like we're gonna see Wugga bypassing that Mana Weaver, it has a smaller line of sight than other monsters, for reasons which are a little unknown to us, probably something to do with its later. Oh! Now they don't have to make a mad dash to the 6th floor elevator, it's literally right there.
Yeah, you can't complain about that. Now,
a U-boat, got worse!
A U-boat right next to you in the starting room, maybe you can complain a little bit about that. But Wugga seems to be doing okay. Oh, he's actually gonna opt to fight it instead. Oh, that miss is gonna hurt.
That's gonna matter. That's gonna matter, and there's a balloon coming, and that's not good. It'll probably go the other way, but it does open up some problems, and like this hurts a lot. This is not great. Hey, Wugga is gonna have to burn a resource.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Shauny didn't bother doing any of that, just kept walking to the elevator and managed to keep a fireball charge, or get safely out, pulls a little bit ahead into floor 8. A lot of elevator luck. This is Wugga's luck, I think, with elevators coming into play here. But that spawn room, not nice, but more elevators. This is... Well,
Both runners actually found a Laolum, so depending on if they find an egg in the next couple floors, that could have some potentially really amazing uses if they find a U-boat.
Yep.
Actually, I don't
10 already. Blink and you miss it.
Ooh. That's kind of infuriating on Wugga's side. He took a step back to get an AI one-hit with Kyun. And the U-boat decided to go underground and thwart all of Wugga's efforts.
Very sad. U-boats will want to go underground when they can. And they like popping up and ruining your day. Hey, they will always want to get the first attack in if they're capable of it. And they hurt a lot when that happens, so Wugga is going to use his medicinal herb. Did not see, due to like window positioning, quite what was in those balls Shauny picked up. We'll probably see them on Wugga's side. If the background...
Oh, go ahead.
if the background did not clue you in, we're on to some fire your element stuff, and that is going to give them a little bit of a chance to explore safely once again.
And so far, the fire floor is actually being not terrible.
Oh, pretty gentle. That did not work the way maybe Shauny would have liked. Not sure what he was going for there. I guess looking for rooms?
He likes to use the weak ball as a scout ball, is what he calls it. He just launches it in a direction, hoping he can find a room or an elevator or something good in it. That other spell ball that he found with the weak ball was, I believe, a fire or a flame ball?
Flame. It's in his menu.
And
Another flame. This is nice.
Yeah,
Wugga didn't find those. And so Shauny does have a slightly more stacked inventory for when things... And, no way, he's finding them.
Yeah, there
Here they are.
Just picked them up, yeah.
Yeah. This is... Usually you'll see people will explore these floors.
Ooh, Wugga finding an egg that I don't think Shauny found. That could be big.
It could be. I feel like Shauny might have, and we weren't. And we had been looking at the other screen, but we'll see. This feels like a floor you'd explore fully, and I think Shauny did explore fully. Could be a U-boat, could be a clown, could be a lot of things that aren't as good. Also, slam trap just to be rude. No, I believe Wugga left the weak ball behind. He isn't interested in a scouting item. He is interested in fast.
Now, do you think either one of these runners are going to opt for the blue collar?
I think it'll depend a bit on circumstances. Like, non-answer, I know. But... it'll come down to a couple of things, one of which, yeah, this is welcome to the jam, because we are slamming here. As for whether or not they will go for it, I think it'll depend on a lot of things. I suspect neither runner is going to want to go super out of their way for it. And if the elevator had been in that first room, maybe they wouldn't have. I think I'd at least... Well, it's right there, so
yeah.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, it's kind of no reason not to when it's one step from the elevator, so... We'll probably see both runners end up picking that up. Now, whether they use it or not is another question entirely. But it does open up some potential shenanigans. That is essentially a guaranteed water fusion for Kuhn, or
yeah, though Shauny did pick up that sea seed, so I think he's gonna keep that egg bomb for egg bombing.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Maybe that other egg that Wugga found will make an appearance. Maybe.
It's definitely possible. If it's something like a clown, that could make Kuhn all the more powerful, and with having the higher MP count than the clown, just giving that double MP or double magic level growth to Kuhn could be pretty good.
Blue collar opens up the magical world of fusion. Good for any eggs they have found, will find, or think that they'll find anyway. Though it'll still be a bit of a time investment to hatch those.
It will, but especially if you're gonna be already hatching an egg anyway, because it's like a floor 12 through 20 egg, and it's not you know, a Garuda or a U-boat or whatever you're looking for, you can still get some potential use out of the familiar, especially if it's not a liftable one or with like a tile immunity type of thing.
Yeah.
The blue color does offer still some options there, so if you can find it on your way, it's
worth something.
Yeah, you might as well. You never know if that option might come into play at some point, so better to have it than to not.
We almost saw the Olim. Looked like Shauny was deciding just to go for some regular AI1 strats. And
he's not quite strong enough for that at the moment. He's getting there though. He's level 10 already. That's not bad.
Wugga has taken a slightly less fighting, more running, less AI1, more running.
And another egg.
There is that floor or 14 egg that we were discussing earlier. That could very well change this entire race into something very fast, very exciting, very uncertain. And it would be Garuda's luck to get a Garuda here.
It certainly would, yeah. That last egg that Wugga picked up, I said, could potentially be pretty good. This egg could be potentially amazing, depending on what's in it. It has a chance to give, I believe, 2 or 3 really good monsters.
There's some decent options on this floor. They have the blue collar. There's no reason not to hatch this egg, especially if you think your opponent might hatch it. And your opponent might hatch it, especially if they think you might hatch it. And it's a volcano.
Just
the most disappointing of all things that could have been in Madahay.
I think even at this point, I think even a Dreamin' would be more hyped than the volcano after what Pukule pulled off with one a couple weeks ago.
But to soothe the pain, here comes the Gacha machine.
Yeah, this might actually just remedy the entire situation and give Wugga his Roche fruit, and he can just guarantee he gets a Garuda at this point.
Barons have the ability to spit out random items. They are, in theory, supposed to check the rarity of the item you are putting in, but instead they check the rarity of the item they are spitting out. So they can only when they pick an item to be spitting out, they can only spit out, and now Shauny's about to disappoint. But they can only spit out an item as rare as the item they are spitting out this time. Which means that they can spit out, anything.
Yeah, basically anything.
Shauny will have, I
Oh.
think, a slightly different path here. Oh no! Oh no! Did not mean to do that. And he's opting not to hatch, but also, Shauny, what is that? You will never be free of this suffering, my friend. Why did this happen to you?
It actually didn't last all that long. Oh! Does Shauny get the lucky Roche fruit?
It could be. That is what one hopes to see. But who knows if it is what one truly will have.
Oh, yeah, Shauny having a bit of a dilemma about what item to toss at this guy. Jarapita, okay. It's not a free Garuda, but it's pretty good, nonetheless.
Certainly something. Oh, he is gonna keep going.
Oh, yeah, with the Leolum, yeah, that's a good free.
Well, he has that red sand.
Yeah, true.
That is a decent number of rolls that we will see him get to use. Starglass is pretty good, but he is resolved.
And wow, he didn't keep any of those. And the Holy Bell, okay, he keeps the Holy Bell.
Yeah. Still, I was surprised. Some of that stuff is pretty handy.
Yeah, I probably would. I definitely would have kept the star glasses for sure. Keeping the pillar ball.
What is he gonna do here? He's looking to figure out, do I have anything? Oh, that is a train full of pickets. That's a lot of pickets.
Yeah, that's gonna take a little while to deal with here.
A pillar ball. Shauny feeling daring today. Keeping the life wand, he must be thinking about switching Kuhn over to water soon.
And a blaze ball in return.
For his troubles.
Yeah, he got some pretty good items out of it.
Pretty wild there.
Yeah, he did. He tossed away some pretty good items. Hopefully that doesn't hurt him too much in the long run. But he did also get some. He did also keep some pretty good items as well. That Gyropeter in particular can be really, really good, depending on how he goes about using it.
Tell us more about it then, because like, it's one of those items that is more or less you're only gonna see it from overall. Pretty much.
Yeah,
it's not totally exclusive, I don't think.
I can't recall ever actually finding one just laying on the ground before, but I mean, I don't actually know the stats behind that or any of that. So.
Oh, Shauny. Oh, right. That is how the interaction of Manoivas and Holy Bells is so weird. It could be exclusive, which means that like a lot of players, a lot of runners, and certainly anyone who's just tuning in and might be enjoying it. And if you are, do check out our Discord. We've got a great community. They would not have seen this before.
So basically, to touch on the Gyropeter a little bit, basically what that does is it completely drains whatever eats it of MP. So you can give it to your familiar if you wanted to, and there are actually at least one niche option that I can think of in like a bookless type run for deleting your own familiar's MP, but more than likely you're going to want to throw it at any particular any random enemy, and it's going to completely sap it of MP, so it's not going to be able to move, attack, cast spells, or any of that stuff. And if it's a liftable monster, like either of the monsters we've seen on Wugga side,
that is going to make this much easier.
Yeah. Oh, and an elevator right
elevator
away.
luck.
So
the
that
Spins a pretty lucky seed. Their inventories are absolutely stacked. I think either runner could keep this up all day, pretty much.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, they're getting pretty good luck with the spell balls. And the Shauny has found quite a few of the malicious scrolls from that barong as well. So that keeps up. You know, it's definitely. I mean, while a malicious scroll is not a guaranteed escape, it is.
It's handy.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice tool to have on hand at any given moment. And they're pretty stocked up with the fireballs in particular, so that's definitely a good thing as well. You really love to have a stockpile of fireballs for those quick kills, quick level ups.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to spend nearly as much time fighting, which is always a good thing in this type of a run.
Yeah, and like spell ball damage does scale with Ko's level. So it'll keep doing a good job. That would be slam number 4. Yeah, going water with Life Wand is, I think, about what one would expect under the circumstances. I figured that was what was going to happen when Shauny kept that Life Wand. He knew it would not be cursed. He has enough fire and blaze and flame balls that any wind monster he wants to deal with can just be dealt with. with. Most of them will fold to a good old-fashioned fire spell like a piece of origami. Like a piece of origami. The damage isn't going to be quite as, like, boosted, but it will give him an easier time. And there we see the Jarapita. No, on
There we
side,
go, yeah, yep,
turning
exactly.
that spider around.
And he didn't get quite the full use out of it because the picket ran up on him so fast, but he could have used that as a boomerang or to plug off a one-tile hallway or anything like that. So it does have a lot of uses after the fruit has been tossed as well. Not to mention it is a free experience because it's not going to be fighting back, so...
Yeah, there is a question about how much that really does, and Shauny is now pretty far behind. Wugga has been blazing through this. Yeah, not sure what that's about. Oh, there's that go-up trap. I think Shauny is thinking that Kuhn's AI-1 attacks will be much stronger and make up for the difference between Life and Scarlet Wand. At least much stronger against difficult water enemies, which is a lot of difficult water enemies, and stronger against difficult fire enemies, which is a lot of difficult enemies. And for everything else, there's Flame Ball.
Exactly, yeah, because he has the Life Wand, which gives him that 25% boost. Being water here really isn't as bad as you might think, even if you don't have the stream where you would have the Scarlet with fire, because most of the stuff he's going to be fighting on these floors are going to be water anyway, so he's going to have the elemental disadvantage in that case. So he's not going to be getting a full 50% damage boost anyway, and he gets a little bit of healing off of it as well, so it's really not as bad as it might look. And if he ends up finding...
aren't going to mean a whole lot eventually.
No, yeah, but everything helps. Every extra hit point helps. And if he does end up finding a stream wand down the line, I mean, that's just all the better.
True. One of the advantages of getting your item from a Barong is that you know it isn't cursed. Barong items aren't cursed. And Barong spell balls aren't that great, because they've only got one charge. That is sort of the nature of the thing. I mean, it's fine if it's an Acid Rain, because Acid Rain is like that, but, you know, the rest of the time... Shauny doing a pretty good job catching up. That gap is a little bit smaller than it was before now.
He's still got a little bit of a... Yeah, a couple floors, but not terrible. It's something Shauny can definitely come back from this.
Right, especially if something bad happens to Wugga. Yeah, and we don't want anything bad to happen to Wugga particularly. But that's always an option. Azure Dreams runs can go by pretty quickly. Looks like we are seeing some egg minute strats on Shauny's side. Those Vipers will head towards an egg. They want to eat it. Yeah. Because they are snakes, that is how this goes. And we'll just ignore the arms and the legs and say that they're snakes. That's what they think of themselves as, and we need to respect that.
Yeah, you also need to respect the any lag that you get on these type of maps. I learned the hard way a couple days ago that if a Viper has already eaten an egg, it won't want another one, and it'll smack you anyway, so you really got to pay attention to that.
Right, and that one that Shauny just put down had eaten an egg. Shauny now has one egg, more than he had previously. So that's nice. I suppose lizards also eat eggs, but you know, if they're gonna be vipers, we might as well think of them as snakes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the inspiration.
Ooh.
Oh, stealth attack.
Yeah, stealth is spawned invisible already, yeah. We got plenty of tools to take care of it, though. Is this ball worth the fire charge? It definitely is, being a binding ball.
I would certainly say so. That can get you out of a lot of scrapes, and they are usually pretty good on charges.
And a nice elevator train on Wugga's side.
Up.
That's going to be floor 30 as soon as he confirms.
Yep, so Shauny gonna have to move pretty quick here.
And Wugga's actually still using fire strats, I believe.
That Scarlet Wand is pretty good. Hard to pass up, really. I'd have checked that herb there, just in case. Ace, you never know. Meanwhile, Belgo is here, stopping the monsters from spawning for a little bit to tell you all about, like, how he wants your blood. I mean, he's also telling you, you know, about your father and how he killed your father. But really, he wants you to come up and fight him so that he can get your magical blood.
And a casual walk to 32 for Wugga.
Yep, these elevators being very kind in not being too far.
Oh, okay. Wow, again. Okay, yeah, this is looking pretty good for
This
Wugga.
is a Wugga-friendly scene.
Shauny's really going to need to pick up the pace a little bit. I mean, he's going to get these same elevator trains that Wugga is, but he needs to get to these elevator trains quickly before Wugga just reaches 40.
That's gonna be a factor. Best of luck there. Wugga staying around for the glacier, fighting the glacier. Might as well maybe help out, get some EXP. While something powerful enough is hanging around.
He is a bit, I mean, he's not necessarily under-leveled, quote-unquote. As far as like a speedrun would go, you really don't necessarily want to be this high to begin with on a really good run.
2 Scarlet Wands, of course. Ooh, A.
But he
At this point, he's not going to worry about it.
Yeah, the Scarlet Wands are just whatever. The egg is a nice bomb at this point. Saw the elevator on the spin.
This is going to be.
What an ugly
he can
room.
Make it.
He does have 3 holy bells though. He's alright.
Yeah, they are stacked. Like I was saying earlier, they could probably keep this up all day if they wanted to. They don't have a whole lot to worry about here. Looks like this isn't a big floor though, so the things that he managed to avoid earlier are coming, or scare away earlier, are looping back.
Oh.
That flame ball misses everything! Oh
That
no!
was oh, and Kuhn took a ton of damage. That was a perspective issue, I believe. He thought he was lined up with that golem, and he was one tile off. It happens to the best of us.
This game is like that. Checking the minimap is important. We always say that. We always think, do we ever do it though? No, we don't. Just gonna say goodbye to that maximum. Basically, where Wugga is at, everything here is going to, at most, 2-shot him.
Yeah, he can take 1 hit from about everything here, but if he gets crit, it's all over. Except for something like Glacier or a Tyrant or something, but at this point we're not even seeing Tyrants anymore, so he's basically in danger from everything except for Glaciers. That frog trap could have been really bad. Luckily there wasn't anything around to make making him sweat.
Shauny hitting up that elevator train. He is catching back on up. That is he has hit floor 33. But will he be able to recover enough time? Because Wugga's getting closer and closer.
Yeah, Wugga has just 3 more floors to go.
Oof. Breath. Funny, you know, I don't think we've seen a single thing attempt to do magic on the mirror shield this entire run. It has not come in handy for that at all. It's hilarious. Meanwhile, we are seeing some of the advantages of water strats in terms of survivability. Shauny is able to, with AI1, go pretty toe-to-toe with these dragons. Gonna have to be a little careful.
Yeah, at this point, that dragon might have been able to kill him in one hit.
Wugga is on floor 39. All he has to do is find one last elevator, and he will take round 1 in like less than 30. In less than 40 minutes, it looks like, unless this takes a really long time. That is impressive. That is a floor a minute. Less, even.
Yeah, that's less than floor a minute. That was the
time.
That was kind of the standard in our previous tourney, about a floor a minute, and to be able to do that in any percent style run or tournament is just even more incredible, because like we were saying before, you don't really have all of those random items that can be super good to help carry you through. You're kind of going off of a baseline vanilla game, which you would start with normally. So that's definitely the mark of a good tower and a good runner.
And there we go. GG. Wugga takes round 1 of this match.
Now, Shauny's on 34. Do we 34? Do we let him finish?
I will ask. And I think we probably need to switch audios, because Wugga is just gonna speed through all this dialogue.
We're gonna see what's in these eggs. We have the Palumpa egg. We knew we had that one still. We get a bloom. That could have been a neat fusion. And a Mandara. Also good egg. Well, maybe not the best egg bomb, but the confusion ability on a Mandara is actually pretty good. And if you fuse to get its spell unlocked, it has a pretty good spell in D4.
Yeah, that is a very good healing spell, the best healing spell. Which does occasionally mean that if they're to assist you with your magic, they'll sometimes decide not to do what you want them to do.
Yeah, it's definitely something you have to keep your eye on, like a Newell or Batanel, even a Minerva or a Palumpa, depending on what you're doing. But it's definitely you have to keep your eye on, because that could be quite literally the difference between life or death, getting healed for 20 and hit for 68 versus being able to kill the monster. But yeah.
Yeah. Either way, we will see. Wugga is going to take a little bit of a break while Shauny goes for that 40 climb.
And he has all the supplies in the world to do this with, so he should be able to make it no problem, especially with the water strats.
I know that is one of those things he says part of his planning for safety. Does not want to go exploring a new floor as a frog, and I cannot blame him.
Right. And I do know Shauny is getting fairly high up in level. This is getting to the point where he will know for sure that he can kill any enemy that he encounters with a full AI1 maneuver. So he's essentially safe from pretty much everything at this point, barring some bad traps or, bad spawning room, which we already know from Wugga's side it shouldn't be too terrible. with the supplies that they have.
Yeah, this is doable, this is manageable, this is still super fast. This is a fast seed.
It is, and it's worth pointing out that being able to do a climb in one go like this is pretty incredible. Regardless of how long regardless of how long it takes you to do it, we're limiting the runners here to an hour just for the sake of time. But if you can do the entire climb in one go, that's pretty incredible in its own right. So.
Yep, game does not intend you to do this. They expect you to like go take a lot of trips.
Yeah, there are several points where they're kind of like break points.
Hi, Sand Knight, you missed Wugga clearing the tower in 35 minutes. And Shauny not at all far behind.
Oh, and he got hit with the same breath.
Obnoxious. Towers, sometimes just obnoxious.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think we've seen a single monster cast a spell on Ko on either of the runners with the mirror shield on. We've seen a handful of spells, but they've all hit June. So unfortunately, the mirror shield not really coming into play for its special ability, but it does help out a little bit with the damage reduction.
Yeah. We did also see a Jarapita. If I'm wrong, Shauny went wild with the Barok. On floor 16.
And one more floor for Shauny. Still stacked to the gills with items. He should be able to do this, no problem.
I think he is going a different way, but yeah, my quick Google search for like what what the expected, how long is it time is like 27 hours, so for the main story. So that is minus 26 hours, 26 and a half hours of gameplay right there.
Yeah, and I believe the Discord actually just had a casual player go through, and it took, I want to say, like 90 something.
Something like that. There's of course the rest of the game. There's the town and the town you can build up and the girls you can see. It is a game that packs a lot of interesting and diverse things to it. And good job, Shauny.
That is a GG for both runners. Love to see the skill level on both of these runners being able to make it to 40 in one go. So congratulations to both runners. We'll get Shauny set up on seed 2 and we'll get him off.
Yep, we love seeing a double clear. We love to see it, folks. I think after seeing that absolutely stacked tower, this blazing fast clear, I think I'd like seed 2 to be a little stingier.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's where you really see the runner's mindset and their skill set come out, when they don't have every item in the game to just work their way through a situation, when they have to scrape and claw in every situation just to get by.
I've heard it said about poker that you don't tell a good player with a good hand, though I think in this case we can tell just by how good they are with a good hand. But you can really see a different and an impressive set of skills from how a runner deals with a mean tower. Or Shauny taking out the trash, saying goodbye, it has betrayed him. And that closes off round 1. We will be moving on to round 2. Farewell cutscene. Hello, final cutscene in which a complete bedridden stranger happens to be in Ko's house because the game expects you to have met her, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, and I don't know why in particular. She's the well, Nico makes sense because she's your best friend basically, but Poe's never actually met Cheryl in in this scene, and she just happens to be just hanging out with the family. And at this point, she's actually bedridden as well, so it makes even less sense that she's in Ko's house at this point.
Right, someone on the game dev team just felt like she is the right character for that line about the Azure sky, and don't know why. Also, I feel like that was what they were going for, not what they got.
Yeah, yeah, I guess I can agree with that.
I think they were going to invoke the Azure dreams with the idea of the bright blue sky, and it didn't work out that way. Translators kind of missed it. And the line and they were going for something that I'm not sure what it is. Okay.
Shauny's seed confirmed good. He should be ready momentarily.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll be able to get them counted down for round 2. Okay. Okay. We will get them launched and off. All countdowns accounted for. Stream delay will allow Shauny to actually be at the front of the house when the countdown is finished, presumably.
There we go.
We will see them off. Shauny saluting the PETA for good luck, presumably. And why not, really? When you are at the mercy of the terrible tower, who may smile benevolently as it did last race, but could also come down with the wrath of 1,000 suns. Maybe you need some luck, maybe you need some blessing, maybe you need to feel like you have some control over things.
Or maybe you just need to blame Sand Knight.
Maybe you do need to blame Sand Knight. If you blame Sand Knight, that means someone, Trash and Roska, little dual linguistic stick calling Q Trash. If you blame Sand Knight, that means that there is someone to blame. The universe has order. Things that happen have both causes and effects. And maybe that's something you need. Also, it's just funnier that way.
It is. It's all in good fun, so.
Mm-hmm.
Usually.
It's all in good fun always. If we're mad at something, we're mad at the tower.
Oh, Skeef, that's evil. That's evil, Skeef.
Skeef mentions the idea of a hypothetical quicksand trap, but I believe that the randomizer does have go down traps as a thing you can do.
It
Just
does,
so we're
but
clear.
they only take you down one. Skeef's implying back to floor 1. Ugh.
With enough go down traps.
So once again, we're going to be seeing both runners here scouting the first 5 or so floors, building up an inventory, hopefully finding some kind of a wand, a better shield, all of that good stuff. And then we'll see him make a mad dash after that point. Maybe stop to do a little bit of grinding, we'll see. With both of the skill runners of these guys though, I don't think grinding is going to be too necessary. I know Shauny will probably opt to do a little bit just for safety's sake with the AI 1 strats that he's very fond of. But it's probably not terribly necessary, especially if we get another seed like last one where they're just stacked with every item you could imagine.
I think the main takeaway from this initial, besides that copper shield that Wugga put on Truth Glass, I know that there was a holy bell, but not a lot else. So we're immediately seeing a slightly less generous seed. We'll see how it pans out. A holy bell certainly isn't bad and can get you out of some fairly unique, dangerous situations. There are things it can do for you that other items can't, or have a much harder time with. And there are times it can't help you at all.
Right, yeah. And I'm not sure who might actually get like a slight advantage from like a famine seed, because I know Shauny doesn't necessarily need to rely too much on items with his AI 1 strats, and especially if he levels up a bit, he's pretty set to get to 40 just with Qn alone and maybe a handful of items. Wugga's playstyle, generally he doesn't have Qn, so he ends up relying a lot more on items and AI manipulation. So it might be slightly in Shauny's favor with a famine seed, but we'll see.
Might be, we'll see. That floor is also pretty empty. They're getting pretty high up to have very little. No wand. There was an uncursed leather shield, and that's gonna be nice, particularly later on. It doesn't have any great defense, but it does at least have an increased dodge chance. Increases your dodge chance by roughly 10 or 11%, give or take, and that's good. That's really good.
Yeah, being able to just negate 60 damage, yeah, that's good.
Is also complete. It is also still very random. It's still only about a 12-13% chance. It's not super high even with the leather shield, so you can't count on it.
No,
in the same way
definitely
you can't count on really any weapon effects besides like the wand bonus, the same type attack bonus. Those you can count on, but like the paralyzed wand, you can't really count on, and you're just gonna have to hope. It's a nice bonus when you can get it, and it can save you some resources. And that's a good way of looking at it.
Finding an early decurse scroll is actually really good too, because then they can basically equip whatever they want without fear. I mean, they'll still have the curse status to deal with at some point, and they actually may never be able to deal with it through a cure-all herb. But being able to take off that equipment, if it's not something that you want to be permanently stuck with, it's nice knowing that you can have that option.
Shauny using that opportunity to equip the leather shield Wugga knows the leather shield is not cursed, but for the moment he's still taking the copper shield's tiny boost to defense. Over that, saw the elevator on the spinning, so he knows roughly where that is and is gonna make a beeline for it. I'd fight the balloon, but not fighting the balloon is a valid choice here.
Yeah. And it's definitely worth noting.
A faster choice.
Yeah, yeah. It's worth noting that the defensive options for shields are actually a little better on the early floors. I'd say maybe up to around floor 10-ish when you start running into griffins and volcanoes, when they start dealing a bit more damage. Then you want to probably swap to either a mirror or a leather shield at that point and just keep that on for the rest of the run. But being able to negate that 1 or 2 damage on the early floors when you don't have much HP is really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can rely on. That is 100% guaranteed. Your shield will decrease the damage by 1 or 2 depending on what it is.
Yep. And that does make it pretty handy. It's not a thing to count on. Talking about Earth Shield strategies over in chat right now. There are elemental shields. They do provide you with that element as it applies to damage you take, so you take less damage from water elemental things and more from fire if you have the Earth Shield, for example. But, just luck, Septic. It's just luck, or maybe they hate you in particular. One of the two.
Definitely.
You'll never know.
They definitely target Septic specifically.
Mm-hmm. Checks out. So, I will ask for the prison trap statement in our post-game interviews.
Yeah, we'll get their opinion on that. Just for you, Septic.
Anyway, but so there are advantages to elemental shields. They definitely have their place, but hopefully their place isn't permanently strapped to your arm.
Yeah, especially if it's an earth shield. Those in particular are definitely really bad to be stuck with because, namely, there's just a lot of fire monsters to begin with, so it's not really good to be stuck with them.
Heavy-hitting monsters tend to be water or fire. Wind tends to have monsters that are more about tricks, that are about status effect or other things they do to make your situation worse.
Right.
Oh wow, that is like half of Wugga's. Wugga will die in one hit here. Gonna have to use a ton of fruit. Cause that crack trap left him nowhere to run.
Yeah, unfortunately,
he
took that hit from high ground on that the volcano there, and it did literally half of his HP.
Shauny, quit scaring me. Shauny is in a real pickle, trolling every step with the utmost care to try and get into that room to use that holy bell.
And that bow troll's probably still gonna shoot him. Yeah, ooh, that's gonna hurt. Both from, well, Shauny's actually not looking terrible at the moment. We got that holy bell medicinal herb off. Yeah, he's looking pretty good now.
And
Wugga also looking pretty good now as well. That was a little scary on both sides for a second there, but they seem to have recovered pretty nicely.
Shauny, just throwing that U-boat away. Does not want it. Does not care for it.
Yeah, and I don't blame him.
Not a friend.
Either.
No, U-boats are, I'm going to say, when they are your friend, they are a great friend.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
When they are your enemy, they're a scary enemy. They are just disproportionately tough. Meanwhile, Wugga leaving floor 10 just as Shauny is entering. Shauny's probably going to enjoy that stream wand a bit more than Wugga is, eventually. Not
Yeah,
that bond.
that'll likely. Ooh, okay. Wugga lost his Qune.
That's not unusual for him though, since he usually does, for speed, a Quneless entry. It's still not comforting for his safety.
No, yeah, and I don't think he intended to lose his Qune at that point either, so... He's likely going to be picking up the pace here because he's not really able to fight much anymore outside of his items, and he's going to want to keep as many as he can for the later floors. We're probably going to see
pickup and getting it.
Yeah, we're going to see him start playing a bit faster, a bit riskier, doing the lift strats instead of fighting where he can.
And that'll get him up floors pretty fast until he encounters a really bad situation.
Yeah, Wugga is in kind of a crash and burn state right now. He needs to go, and just kind of hope for the best, or maybe just get a Garuda. We'll see.
Maybe just get a Garuda. Garuda's also the fast die young of monsters, so you know, not the same either way. I think he spawned like maybe a step away from it. We'll have to check when Shauny gets to floor 12 there, which shouldn't be long. The gap is at this point very small. Oh, we will see them really picking up the pace in a little bit, I think.
We're using poison strats. He's definitely going to have to rely on some more unconventional strategies at this point, just so he can survive. Getting those level ups is going to be really important for him.
Absolutely important because of their rarity. I mean, pretty much. The precious gem of strategies. Or of level ups, I guess. There's that blue collar, which would be great for his familiar if he had one.
I like that he's going out of his way to hit these traps, because that's going to be one of the few ways he's going to be able to get reliable experience at this point. It might not be much experience, but every little bit is going to help.
Looks like he is clearing up his inventory some. Not taking the time on that floor 12 egg, probably thinking it's not going to make a break and he's just going to need to run. We are about to see whether or not that egg wasn't spawned on, it was just like conveniently placed. Gonna truth glass it. U-boat! Oh, Shauny's gotta be happy to see that.
Yeah, for sure. We're probably
They're scared if he thinks Wugga knows what he himself knows, but Wugga doesn't know that, so you know. He's probably gonna hatch it. And U-boats have an ability that you can't see when they're an enemy monster.
So we did see another niche strategy that I've only seen a handful of times. Wugga actually threw a wake-up herb at a sleeping Kraken to get it out of his way. It was sleeping in a room. He didn't want to deal with it. Threw the wake-up herb from a pretty good distance, so even if it did decide to leave towards him, he could still escape without being aggroed to it. And it decided to just go the other way.
Go on its way.
Yeah.
What you want to see, really. Ooh, pickup not going well.
Shauny still actually doesn't have a wand. He missed the stream wand, I guess?
I guess so.
Oh.
Probably did not want to do that. Unless he is burning his one charge remaining. Kind of a niche strategy there of having that water or protection. And it will reduce fire attacks in particular, and that's pretty nice. It can reduce them down to basically nothing, but onto Q specifically.
Wugga opting to use Truth on a ball instead of the egg he found on floor 12. That's kind of a ballsy move.
I think at this point he has already committed
to
not hatching that egg.
Yeah, I think you're right, Deme. He's just chosen at this point to go commando and use the egg as a bomb at some point.
Yep. Oh no, that's
bad. Yeah, that could be the end of Shauny's feud as well.
Inside.
Oh.
Oof.
Not quite.
Okay, that wasn't so bad. Oh, he's got the A. He's hatching the A. We are gonna see that U-boat. We're gonna see U-boat strats, folks.
Shauny made a bit of a mistake there. He's not gonna be able to get this collar without getting a hit at this point.
Yeah, he's gonna Mahel Seed. He's still gonna get hit. That is, Mahel Seed does not kick in on the first turn you eat it, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a boat.
Yeah, he's gonna be pretty happy about that, I think.
Shauny knows it's a U-boat, but he's not stopping to hatch it. That's surprising.
Yeah, I do find that really surprising. If you know that you have a U-boat, I'm not sure why you wouldn't hatch it. I mean, it is a time loss, granted, and it's only at 21%, so it is going to take a little while to hatch. But the benefit of the scouts is just so worth it.
Right, U-boats can more or less identify basically anything. I mean, they can identify out your whole floor, and basically they are a semi-infinite source of star glasses, pretty much. And that is invaluable.
Yeah, and the really nice thing about them is that the scout does take a large amount of MP to use. I believe it's 16 per use. But the nice thing is you don't need to have the full amount of MP to use that skill. So you can feed them an herb off the ground, give them 2 or 3 MP, and they'll still be able to use that. Now, it is a bit annoying to have to feed them something basically on every floor, but again, it's one of those things where it's just so worth it. For what you get out of it.
And herb, seed, basically anything that a monster can eat, or rather a U-boat can eat, will give you 1 more pair of star glasses.
Right, yeah, exactly. Trading like a wake-up herb or something for a pair of star glasses, you can't complain about that one bit.
And there goes one of those herbs. But Wugga doesn't care. Elevator,
It does kind of suck that roam herb could come in handy if he hits a blinder or gets an unlucky pickup on a unicorn coming up here in the next couple floors, but it's not the end of the world, hopefully.
Yeah, it is probably not.
And that's another paralyzed trap.
Well.
Oh man.
Yeah, think that says a lot, Septic. Think that says a lot there.
It's just you, man. It's just you.
Yeah, killing with a monster throw does not give EXP. That is just the nature of things. If it's not your attack or your monster's attack, and I think maybe even if it's just not an attack with you nearby, it doesn't matter.
That is kind of weird though, because if you throw an item, it still gives you experience.
Well, that's because it's your attack that's used in the calculation.
True, true.
Or something like that. Ooh, acid rainball on Wugga's side. That's gonna be nice. That is number 1, the only water element attack spell that you have reliable access to. It is also very It is also very strong. It also clears a whole room, or these squares adjacent to you if you're in a hallway.
And that spider almost getting both of those wee dogs there.
The holy yeet combo, that's a good way of putting it. Also, it sounds like a thing you could say if you're worried about being PG on a stream. Holy yeet.
And the instant refund on the Holy Scroll.
Very nice. I always like the background on this set of floors in particular. I just like things that feel woodsy.
Yeah, this theme is definitely one of my favorites as well.
That is a good point. Oh, something
hey,
paralyzed track.
There we go.
And just, you know, wasn't the player. We see Wugga adjusting his camera so that way the U-boat takes less time to get off screen and therefore less time to complete his scouting. Oh! Cruel warp trap. Cruel. That is, when your cumulus warp trap is pretty neutral, this is like the one thing that it can do to still be cruel.
Warps next to an elevator are always just a moment. Significantly less so, like you said, if you don't have a familiar, but warp, that's like the one case where warp is still a bad thing. Any other time running cumulus, they're actually pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, for the most part.
At least they're random and therefore neutral. Like maybe they'll send you somewhere.
Hopefully better than where you were before.
Yeah, that is. Oh, there's a blinder trap. Ultimately ends up not really mattering. Oh, ooh, that's gotta hurt. Not what one wishes for. Shauny does not have a whole lot of options here.
That ice rock is looking... Oh, or the lift. Yeah,
goes to the lift, it works. If it didn't, then I think he'd be in real dire straits.
Yeah, he throw the Havoc Herb. That would definitely not be the thing to do in that situation.
Oh, U-boat getting hit by his stealth. U-boat's gonna get a lot of levels from that.
Yeah, luckily the U-boat was actually hatched at a fairly decent level, so it could survive a hit or two from some of the weaker enemies. Stealth are definitely the weakest thing on these floors. And it does actually have elemental advantage, though, being wind versus water, so...
Still, it is one of those perfect examples of a wind monster that is tricksy as opposed to strong. On the other hand, because it's tricksy, it means that, like, anytime you've got, let's say, 20 HP on these sets of floors, you're suddenly in a lot of danger. You are in danger of your run being over literally any moment from now. Shauny poisoning both Arachnes, that's going to slow his game down a little bit. On the other hand, it also means that he can whittle them down to just nothing.
Yeah, I do like the poison. Oh, and he found the other one as well. That's nice free experience. I do like the poison strats. They're a bit slow, like it was pointed out before, but it is reliable.
Oh, there's a prison trap hitting a player. There you go, Septic. It's not just you. Some of the time. And that is where the U-boat needs a nice juicy pita fruit to keep going. That'll buy you a few more uses. That's what you want to see. This hallway not giving that holy scrolled old snowman any real chance of seeing use. Okay, crack trap. That is what happened there. And now the snowman is gone. That's just how it is.
Yeah, a Leolum in this situation would be phenomenal. That would basically be 15 free floors for scouting purposes, which would basically get Wugga up to the top at this point. He'd be a couple floors short, but you know, just feed it a Hazard or something along the way a couple times, and you're pretty set. So finding a Leolum at this point would basically have him set for getting to the top, U-boat wise. Now granted, he does only have 16 HP left on his U-boat, and his U-boat's not going to see much healing, considering it only gets to scout and then gets bagged right away. So if his U-boat takes another hit, it's going to be good night for that.
Yep. That is certainly a danger to be watching out for, but it's not the worst thing. Juking that Mana Weaver, that is always nice to see. That's not great. Now we're seeing Shauny go for the egg hatch. That's surprising.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising he waited this long to start hatching it. Maybe he wanted to... Well, he still has his Palumpa egg, doesn't he? I was gonna say maybe he wanted to use it for egg baiting, vipers and whatnot, but
yeah, I'm not sure what specifically he was thinking about. Either way, Mandara trying to confuse the ice. Oh, Palumpa has been bombed. Okay, so that does explain what he was holding on to it for quite so long. Still, that's... Like, I'm usually gonna say there's still time to make that up, but that's gonna be hard to make up. That's gonna be really hard to make up. Wugga has had U-boat all this time, or at least most of this time, and is pretty dang far ahead. Really, Shauny is going to have to bank on something bad happening to Wugga before he hits 40.
And that go-up trap not doing Shauny any favors.
No, not at all.
But it's still not over. Wugga could go down pretty easily on any floor. Any kind of a debilitating trap could be a quick end to his climb. And those are pretty unpredictable. So, and we saw the elevator on the spin. I think in this case I would still try to use U-boat just to guarantee, because especially with the... Well, no, he has the Acid Rainbow. That was a nice room clear with the Acid Rainbow.
Yeah,
that's a lot of levels.
There we go. There's some more paralysis for Septic. He doesn't have to feel alone.
I kind of agree with this scout, even though he did see the elevator on the spin. This gives him the ability to make the most direct path to the elevator, and if he gets cut off like he did there briefly, he does know all of the alternatives to get to where he needs to go. And on these higher floors where everything is out to get him, and can do so in, you know, one good hit or two regular hits, that's definitely a nice thing to have.
Absolutely. He has more MP than he does survivability, basically. We see him whittling that killer down with poison. It's not going to kill the killer directly, but there we go. And you can see he even took the wand off because the wand will be less accurate than just poking him with his hand.
seeing floor 31 again on Wugga's side, and I'd like to point out he's going a floor a minute, roughly. A little bit over, yet again. And that is just absolutely crazy.
It's pretty wild.
Now, it's not to say that Shauny's not also doing quite well, because he is looking pretty good. And he's only, he's 6 floors behind at this point. He just got to 25. But he's still looking really solid. And he just found a Scarlet one. That's, well, he's probably going to be switching to water strats if he can, so...
Not as ideal, but still.
Yeah, especially on this particular floor. This is everything on this floor is wind, and seeing as he's already fire, he might as well use it. That's gonna give him a nice advantage. 51
yeah, the
damage.
gameplay this one has been really good, and they are doing everything in their power in order to fight this tower. And that is what we like to see.
Yeah, exactly. People are Sandlight and Ski for talking in chat about removing the weapon for a little bit more accuracy. In a situation like this where you can really only take one hit, and if you do take that hit, you're going to be in a really bad situation for quite a while. You want to make sure you have as good a chance to deal that 1 damage as you possibly can. So it's definitely worth that menu taking off the weapon, especially considering he's not really hitting anything anyway. He can actually just opt to drop the weapon entirely, clear that inventory space up as well. And Shauny getting in the same situation that Wugga was in on floor 27, throwing the holy scroll, excuse me, at that snowman, getting hit by the crack trap, and having his snow buddy fight off a Mandara.
Yeah, it is more or less the same thing that happened over on Wugga's side. We see that Shauny. This time the snowman lost, and Shauny is now in deep trouble here.
Oh, and we're seeing tile immunity on Shauny's side.
Tumna glitch. That is going to slow him down still yet further, but giving that Tumna fruit to Kyun while he is carrying Kyun now means that Shauny is basically not here. Both here and not here. And so the monsters will continue to target him and continue to have nothing to target. It'll let him live to fight another floor.
Yeah, and thankfully the snowman had already done a pretty good chunk of damage to that Mandara, so he didn't have to wait it out terribly long. So it's not as slow as it could have been if he had to, say, let an enemy or two run out of MP.
Yeah.
To be able to escape, because that Mandara is not liftable. So, yeah, it's not as bad as it could have been, and it definitely saved him there.
Absolutely. And that poison whittled that Mandara down pretty nicely even to that point. So now everything is more or less, he is back to rolling forward. There's that go up trap.
Ooh, Shauny, 11 HP, not looking good.
Yeah, not quite how you want to go up onto a new floor. Or where you don't know what's going to happen. And you don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what's safe and what isn't. Hello, SpeedGaming Espanol! Rating us with a party of 21. We are at the top of a second match. Yeah, that Palumpa's not going to do much against the dragon.
No, but he did just enough to be able to push it over the edge with that fireball charge, so he did it alright. Lumpy did his job.
Yep. Palumpa tries hard, does its job. I had forgotten what a scary room this room is.
And Shauny actually opting to do a different strategy than the Acid Rain. I'm not sure, he might not have a use left?
It's possible. Either way, Looks like he is going to do some poisoning.
Ooh, Wugga finding a white sand. Is he gonna use it on the acid rain? He is.
I certainly would.
Yeah, at this point, that's definitely a good option. If he has several fireballs to choose from still, but it's definitely a good option. Shauny doing the poison strats on this room.
Yep, while everyone was preoccupied with that ice rock ball, he is going to whittle them down. That was an interesting combo use of items to get, if not the most speed, then at least some solid survivability out of it.
Yeah, exactly. It might not be as fast as the acid rain, but it's definitely reliable. And being able to group them all up with them all targeting that ice rock, he was able to guarantee that he got at least most of them with that one blast of poison ball. So that was well done.
Very nice.
Oh, that's not what he wanted. That's a really bad situation. Okay, he has a holy bell. Okay.
Yep. Sucks to use it on a room with one monster, but what you gonna do? You have to do whatever it takes to survive, pretty much.
And he has another one to spare, so it's not the end of the world. He can still spawn into a horrible, horrible room and still have a get out of jail free card with that, so.
Wugga, meanwhile, has been proceeding, getting steadily onwards and upwards, towards closing off chance of Shauny being able to make it with each floor, but also getting into more and more danger. Oh, and there's the
elevator on 39. That's a GG for Wugga. Wugga takes the game. We may have a friendly third. We'll let you know shortly. And if not, we'll go straight into an interview.
Okay.
So, with that win on Wugga's side, Wugga will move on to losers round 4, facing off against Septic Tank next week. And the winner of that match will go on to the finals match with Poulet Santet, who again in this tournament has not lost. Well, he has lost a match against Plushie in his very first round.
But not a full matchup.
Yeah. He has not been sent to loser's bracket yet again in this tournament, and both of these runners have a bit of a grudge match to settle with Poulet. But that'll be a fun watch for sure as well. Unfortunately, this is the end of Shauny's tournament run, but we can still have a friendly third if they so choose.
It looks like they are agreeing to that.
And another tile immunity from Shauny. We're seeing they return home this time instead of the Tumna Fruit glitch. It accomplishes the same thing, except that your familiar is permanently gone instead of just temporarily a frog. But it accomplishes the same thing immunity-wise. You're there and not there at the same time. And it was probably the move to do there, considering he just hit a slow trap directly in front of a killer.
So we will be getting them set up for a friendly third. This isn't for any of the marbles. This is just because we love Azure Dreams.
To answer a question from chat, I don't know that I can fully answer it because Skeef asked if throwing an item into a Minerva's path prevents it from transforming, and I know that it doesn't. I actually did that on Sunday in my match with Poulet. I threw a coin at a Minerva and it transformed. I didn't actually see specifically what Shauny did there. But I do know that it can work, at least. It may have something to do with the angle that it was at, though. If with Shauny, I know Shauny is actually the one that taught me that strategy. So I imagine he had thrown it as it was facing whatever item he was tossing at it. So I don't know. Maybe it's a choice or something. I'm not exactly sure, but it does have a chance to work anyway.
This game is, of course, perfectly programmed, no edge cases.
No bugs or glitches.
Okay, both of them have. Hopefully, Shauny's received my message. We're saying GG.
So I'm guessing because this is a friendly third match, we're probably going to see a glitched entry from Wugga, which would be an interesting type of run because that is his preferred method of running any percent, and he's quite familiar with it. Though it does become quite a bit more volatile than it would normally be with Kuhn. But again, Wugga is so far the only runner that has actually completed the tower in under 30 minutes in an any percent setting. So he's quite skilled when it comes to that. So that should be quite a nice show to watch.
Shauny's basically saying Azure Dreams is played stress, right? It provides enough of it that not like you're inevitably going to be playing it stressed.
It is a bit of a stressful game because you don't ever really know what you're getting into. Like you know what kind of monsters you can encounter on every floor, but the layout is always going to be different. Where the elevator spawns is always going to be different. You never know what items you're going to get except for the first 5. So it can be quite stressful, especially in a race setting against someone as skilled as Wugga or Shauny to perform. Because while this is a friendly tournament, we are here to provide entertainment. So being able to make it to a decent floor in the tower can be a bit tricky. Honestly, a lot of, at least personally, when I don't run any percent too much because it can be a bit volatile running it to get a good time. It can be quite difficult just to get up to floor 10 without having Kuhn there to help you. And in a tournament setting, you really don't want to lose too quickly, but at the same time, you don't want to play overly safe and give your opponent just a free win, essentially. So it's a real balancing act when it comes to tournament style setting, which just adds a bit more stress in my opinion.
Okay, they are both ready, so we will count them down. They will both hopefully have a good and friendly third and have some fun with it. What do we think? Okay, we've covered that. We're pretty sure that Wugga is going to do a glitch entry. He is getting the pita fruit out and ready and saluted for just such a thing. It is, I would say, one of the handful of glitches you see to get good times in Azure Dreams speedrunning. There's not a lot, which is one of the things that's kind of fun and kind of funky about the game and about running the game that can make it get nice for new players.
Yeah, here we go. We are getting a glitched entry from Wugga, and you do have a good point there, Deme, with the any percent. A lot of times in games, you'll see that the any percent is loaded up, like really loaded up with a bunch of glitches to skip different encounters, different cutscenes, and things like that. In Azure Dreams, for the most part, the only glitch you're really going to see for a good time is glitched entry, where you just don't pick up Q and you skip the tutorial floor, and from there, you're pretty much playing it vanilla for the most part, with a bit of, there's like manipulation with enemy movement and Maneva's not being able to see things very well, etc. But things like the Tumna glitch in particular, while they're incredibly useful and can really save your hide, they're not exactly the fastest way to go about doing things, so you're not really going to see them all that often.
They are safety strats rather than speed strats. That said, in the de-randomized version that we have with the sped up tutorial floor that isn't a tutorial floor anymore, there's not a whole lot, there's no advantage to the glitched entry. It is just for swag. But this is a friendly third, everything's just for swag.
Yeah, pretty much, and that is actually a really good point. Because the tutorial floor is shortened with all the items right there, there really isn't any benefit to not picking up Qune, because by the process of skipping Qune on the bridge takes about the same amount of time as it would to name him and pick him up originally. So you're not really gaining anything, any time in that sense, and you're losing your familiar, so the climb is going to be that much more difficult as well. So it's
just swag. That's all.
Yeah, it's just a for fun thing. Some runners really prefer to not have to worry about the extra follower and his positioning and HP and all of that stuff. So it's a bit of a personal preference thing as well, where it doesn't it doesn't really matter at this point if the run dies super early, because it's just a third. It doesn't actually count towards anything tournament wise, so it's all in good fun.
Absolutely. We see them both moving on. Shauny's gonna get a lot more use, I think, out of that paralyzed wand than Wugga is. After earlier finding out that the wooden wand on floor 1 is cursed, so that is a fate avoided nicely. You know, you'd think that, like, the recovery ball would be good, but it's kinda niche because it can't recover you.
Yeah, you really need to have a repel ball as well to get any use for Ko out of that. You can get some pretty good use out of it using the AI1 strats. I'm actually a bit surprised that Shauny isn't more taking more of a liking to the recovery ball, considering how much she uses the AI1 strats. But you know, it is what it is. It's not the best ball by any means. It doesn't deal any damage or anything like that as well, so...
So while it's not useless, it's a little niche. Like poison in that sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Wugga using that balloon pretty early on that Mana Weave. That is a resource he might not see anything like quite again. It will all kind of depend on luck of the tower.
Yeah, and it is worth noting that the egg bomb, when it kills an enemy, you actually don't gain any experience. The monster that came out of the egg gains the experience. So in some ways it's better to use the egg early on, because the monsters on the higher floors are worth a lot more experience. And if you can get to those floors and kill them with the fireball by saving a charge throwing the egg, that can be quite beneficial. Ooh.
Yeah, Slam Trap, not great. Hopefully, there we go. No, Wugga does still have that medicinal herb. Shauny taking care of the same balloon with just a little bit. This is not ideal if you are Shauny.
Not at all. I believe he does also have a medicinal herb still laying around, so it's just a matter of taking a turn to use it at this point. And he does actually have the benefit of this room has an elevated tile. So the monsters that try to come to this room, unless they're already lined up with the lower tile, they're actually going to get turned around because they can't jump up onto that tile. So he did actually get a fair bit of free healing turns out of that as well. So that worked out in his favor.
We see them both zooming along now, back up onto the same floor. Or this has been a very close race in spite of all of the different approaches, obstacles, etc. in their way. Here, there hasn't really been a chance for one strat or another to pull ahead for more than a minute or so. But Shauny is not in a great spot. Shauny is in a bad spot.
That level down really sucks as well. He does get it back immediately because the way the spell works, it puts you one experience away from whatever level it took you down from. So killing that clown is an immediate level up again. But in personal experience, that spell only really decides to land when you're about to get up a level anyway. So you basically lose the bad. Yeah, and that's actually even worse on Wugga's side, being solo. Though it is a bit easier to fix without sharing the experience with Kuhn, he does actually end up getting more experience in the long run, just towards Ko. So it's bad in different ways.
I actually meant the 3 U-boats and also a bloom over on Shauny's side.
That is ridiculous. He's playing it very well though, considering.
Got that Mahel seed. Just gonna have to figure out how to get out of this.
And Wugga down on floor 10 to a bow troll. Shauny just needs to get. Yeah, Shauny just needs to get to floor 11 now, and that might be a little more difficult than it's. Oh, he actually tile immunity. Okay, he's actually good here.
Tile immunity, gonna chuck some things away.
And he can actually see the elevator right in that room, so getting to floor 10 should be pretty easy from this point.
You'd think that lifting them up would, break tile immunity, but it doesn't. Weird. Also, funny. But also, that is the problem with throwing things away as your approach to them. Is that sometimes they come back.
Yeah, if he had, I don't know if he actually, normally if you lift an enemy and you take a step, it'll change the direction, it'll go whatever direction you throw it in. But you can also accomplish that same thing by holding it above your head and skipping a turn. I didn't catch if he actually did that or not. If he just lifted and threw it, the U-boat is going to come directly back towards him.
Alright, that's GG. Shauny does take a friendly third.
Yeah, and that is all 3 matches that we have for you today. We'll get these runners in here for an interview if they so choose. Which I imagine both of them will opt to do so.
I think it's pretty likely.
That hurts on Shauny's side. That was a bit risky, actually, walking in line with the Griffin there. He very easily could have taken a pillar there that might have been able to finish him off there. Oh, and a poison trap. Ugh. Just adding insult to injury at this point.
Yep. Insult to injury to victory.
Hello.
Yeah. Hey,
hello.
Welcome, Wugga. Congratulations on your win. You're moving on to round 4 versus Septic next week.
Yeah, it's going to be a rematch. Looking forward to it.
So, what do you think about these seats?
I joined and everything went bad.
GT Shauny.
Yep.
Pretty blessed seeds, the first two at least. Scarlet
Yeah,
won
that first
like
seed
right
was
off the bat.
totally crazy in terms of just how many elevator trains and spell balls there were every which way.
I'm more shocked the fact that the first seed, I think we got like 4 or 5 fire-based spells. And then plus a Scarlet Wand. I got my C seed. I played this lottery for a little bit too long, I think. And
A little
then
bit.
Also, Wugga, did you go queenless in the last one?
Yeah.
That's why I figured you're saying lift luck, and I'm like, wait, there's no reason to do that unless you're.
Yeah, I just wanted the last one to be over fast. I'm a bundle of nerves after that second one, so.
Cannot blame you. That second one got really down to the wire towards the end.
I assume you got to 40 then, because obviously I could have passed you in the 40-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
So that means both of you had 244 climbs, less than 40 minutes.
Yeah, he was
Yep.
on a crazy good pace. Both the first two seeds. That U-boat really came in handy on the second seed. You both held on to it for a while. Wugga hatched it a good bit before you did, Shauny.
But knew about it later. Wugga never actually used like a truth blast or anything. Just sort of, Kuhn is gone. There's this egg. Might as well hatch.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
started one and I immediately used it.
He actually found a pair of truth glasses a bit after he found the egg and opted to use it on a spell ball and then blindly hatched the egg afterwards.
Yeah, that was not intentional. I totally blanked out on the egg, so I felt a little bit dumb as I started hatching. Oh, I have to truth glass as well. Better hope it's something good.
And it was.
Yeah. I blame not taking a bathroom break when I did to using a confusion scroll myself in the middle of a hallway.
Oh dear.
That was I said there like, oh, I really should have done that. My train of thought just went completely to the right. I was supposed to be focusing on the left, and yeah, that wasn't good for anyone involved.
So, Shauny, we have a question from Skeef in chat. Specifically, I believe it was the second seed. You had tossed an item at a Minerva, and it didn't transform. Now, I personally missed it. I believe I was dealing with something on Discord at that particular moment. But I do know that it does have a chance to work, because I did it on my match with Poulet on Sunday. Was it just not facing the right direction, or was it aggroed, or do you know what happened in that specific situation?
Yeah, so what happened there was so when using my screen as a thing, the Minerva was supposed to be at a diagonal. I threw it. It didn't matter if I threw it. When you throw it, the turn order messes up compared to if you place it down. So it walked over it instinctively, and that's the thing you have to be really careful with. If you place it down, you're fine. If you throw it, you're not.
I didn't actually know that.
Azure Dream's turn order is weird.
Yeah. But when it comes down to it, though, like, it wasn't the biggest deal because that was one of the ones, the clones, because I poisoned that entire room of monsters thinking if I at least come across them later, I can get rid of them. And I will bank on having a million Minerva clones just to weaken the Naplus, the Killer, and the Tyrant all at the same time. I probably could have made it to the top if I didn't hit the slow trap at the end, but like the second seed was actually pretty good, but I didn't find any MP recovery items at all, and I was really, really struggling with keeping code a high enough level to actually deal damage. So I was basically struggling to stay alive and stay away from enemies at that point. But first seed, oh, that was a good seed.
Yeah,
I appreciate that one.
I'd like to commend both of you on your poison ball strats. Now, you both got pretty good use out of some of the poison balls you found, but Shauny, in particular, you used it to great effect, hitting multiple enemies with it several different times, and just being able to slowly whittle them all down to 1 HP and get that free experience. Congratulations, dude, guys. That was very well played.
Very nicely done.
Why do people think it's a bad ball? The only bad one is
It's slow.
It's really slow. It's reliable if you have
spiders.
the space, but it's really slow. It's along the same lines as the tumbling glitch. It's reliable, but it can be really, really slow.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, again, I always want to stress this. In any percent run, it just has to be in one sitting. It doesn't have to be one clear. So, like, or less than an hour. Like, well, I guess technically me and Wugga did today. So, like, if you have a poison ball, take all the time in the world if you survive. If you don't, you're dead and your resources are useless. And
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say just, and that's it. Like, if you screw up damage calcs, or like I played a gotcha, I think twice, one with the Leolam fruit and then one by itself, and I eventually got like a life wand. That carried me through the first seed just because like I needed a neutral based thing to verse some of the monsters.
Yeah,
That
that's
wasn't.
another thing that I want to ask you about, Shauny. You went pretty nuts with that barong, giving it to Leolum. You actually threw away a couple really good items. Like you picked up and chucked a pair of star glasses. What was your thought process with that? Were you going for a very specific item, or?
I have an addiction. No. When it comes down to it, yeah, no. When it came down to it, I was actually trying to go for a Roche if it popped up, but I also had. I was contemplating keeping the paralysis herb just because it might get me out of a jam slightly, but I had so many holy bells and other things. I need one holy bell and one tumnah fruit to feel safe during a run, and I literally had at that point like 4 fireballs, a life wand. I think it was a stream or a scarlet. No, it was a scarlet wand at the start, and then eventually ditched that just to keep the life wand. I had tons of other resources, so eventually it just became to the point where it's like, what would I miss least? And even if I spawned into a bad room, I had like 5 different ways to get out of things, so I was okay. So I was more or less just trying to go for a Roche.
Yeah, that is fun. That's a fun thing to watch. Even if in the end it didn't quite work out, it was nice. It was fun seeing a Jarapita.
Yeah, that was actually nice because that saved me very briefly on another floor. But the one thing which I really wanted to do is I'm versing, if people are unaware, Wugga is the 80% world record holder. And goes to show all the matches finished within 40 minutes climbing to the top of the tower one way or another. So I was like, I needed to get a Roche that was not spawned on his seed to possibly have a chance to outpace Wugga. And then I on the second seed couldn't find a Balrog for the life of me, so I just left.
I think I actually left Leolam behind, so I couldn't do the casino for very long.
So one thing which I would recommend with the Leolam fruit, which is horrendously underrated, is if you use Queenie's Bread spell, it goes a really, really long distance. You can use it like a weak ball if you feed him a Leolam fruit and take a scout at the floor.
Yeah, for scouting purposes.
That's the initial reason I took it, thinking I was going to need it, but I came across the Balrog and I figured, well, go for Roche. What's the worst that can happen?
I guess the last thing that I'd like to ask you guys today, there were quite a few traps that you guys had. There was a ton of slam traps. There was the occasional warp trap, but there was also, I would like to point out, a lot of paralyzed traps that just didn't work, and that had chat a bit of an uproar a little bit. But like the
who was.
Yeah, I'm sure you can both guess who it was, but like it just added insult to injury that like the one time that it did actually go off, it was an enemy that did it. On I believe it was a unicorn on Wugga's side. The one time we did actually see it go off. But yeah, do you have any comments about the amount of traps or the types of traps? I know there was a lot of slam traps that we saw today.
I ignore them. Either it's going to kill me and the game is over, or I just hold down triangle and circle and that's it. I don't care.
Yep, same. And I also kind of erase it from memory immediately.
Yeah, Because there's no point being shaken by something which is complete RNG. RNG if it goes off, and RNG in placement. So it's like, oh no, I stepped on. Like, if you step on 2 traps in the same room, then I start being paranoid. But for the most part, like I completely forget about it after it's done, or I laugh if a monster hits it. Like that poor plump on floor 22 got a go up trap, and I just find that funny. Or no, it was work trap.
Also, dying to a trap doesn't feel as bad because you have no control over it. So it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, then I just died on my screen. Well, I reset on the second seed. It was I hit a slow trap while going across the side of the room in front of a killer, and I had to release Queenie to survive. And then I literally just died on the third seed because I hit a paralysis trap in front of a kraken. So, but I can't control that, so there's no point being upset about it. It sucks, but if you're paranoid about traps, you're not going to be going through any of the rooms in any decent speed either. So
that is a good point. You kind of just have to roll with the punches. And you both did a very good job of that this time. I think that's about it. I can't think of any other questions. We might have chat.
Unless you guys have something you would like to say before we head out here.
I am team beat Poulet, so Wugga has to now beat Poulet.
I'm coming for you, Septic.
Well, Septic is also part. Great, we just had to beat Poulet. Like, all 3 of us said that in the call before, so we're just gonna... I'm happy to lose, but at the same time, like, at least we can help on the commentary.
Shauny hands forth his mission. The torch is passed.
Avenge my family for this umpteenth time.
That too. I'd like to thank you both for some excellent running. I'd like to thank the folks at SpeedGaming for helping us out as always. I'd like to thank Revan for joining me about 30 minutes before the race started.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no worries, that man.
Well, good news. I'm free for commentary now.
Excellent! You and I in the commentary bit.
Yeah.
And goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.